And welcome to the Rotary meeting of June 2nd, 2021. It is my pleasure to introduce our president, Dimas Alfaro.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and move the meeting along and have Steve Scott with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good afternoon, everyone. Please join me in honoring the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Steve. So do we have Casey for invocation?
Casey is not present.
So we'll go ahead and just move it along into introductions. And I'll go ahead and start it off. My name is Dimas Alfaro, and I am a Rotarian of 3 years, or a little bit more now, I think. And I'm 1 foot out of presidency, right, Raymond? And he's 2 feet already in. But I am a licensed loan officer, and I was a resident for the city of San Dimas for actually over 30 years. But I'll go ahead and pass it on to Derek.
My name is Derek New. I'm a teacher who's about to go on summer break, so I'm super excited and relaxed. And I'm also a San Dimas resident and Rotarian.
Thank you, Derek. I'll go ahead and pass it on to Raymond.
Hi, Raymond Foster, President-elect, past President, current Public Image Chair, and excited. July 1st, you all are in trouble. You've elected me as the leader. That was not a very smart thing to do, but yes, I see you all smiling out there. Hey, so after the meeting, I have some exciting news I'll talk about later on, but I'd like to talk to Mike and Steve for like 2 or 3 minutes after the meeting because we get this ball rolling. But if you guys like to stick around for this conversation, let me know, but I'll give you more details when we get to Action 360.
Great. Thank you, Raymond. I'll go ahead and pass it on to Steve.
Thanks, Diva. Hello, everyone. My name is Steve Scott. I have been a Rotarian now for about 11.5 years, current treasurer of the club, past president, and I am a State Farm agent in San Dimas.
Thank you, Steve. Marianne? I'll pass it on to Mike.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mike Wallace. I'm the president of Better Home Financial Mortgage Brokers here in downtown San Dimas. I've been a Rotarian about 6 years, past president, and I'm happy to be here serving the community.
Thank you, Mike. Lauren?
Hi, Lauren Ferrari. I'm new to Rotary, resident of San Dimas, and I work in law enforcement.
Thank you, Lauren. Carissa?
Hi, Carissa Ferrari. This is my first year as a Rotarian. I am in the insurance industry. I work at Bolton & Company out of Pasadena, and also a San Dimas resident. That's it.
Great. Thank you so much, Carissa. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to our speaker. And, I have Craig jumping in. So I'll go ahead and have Craig introduce himself. Perfect timing.
Should have changed your name. That's probably why I can't get in.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm Craig Jung. I'm a dentist in San Dimas. I am a 6-year member, past president, and current secretary.
Thank you, Craig. I hear Terry in the background. Terry, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? I guess he doesn't want to. That's okay. So I'll go ahead and pass it on to Joe.
Hello.
Hi, Joe.
Hi.
I'll go ahead. You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, sure. So Joe Podlasek, CEO of the Trickster Cultural Center in Schaumburg, Illinois. So today I'm here to present a little bit about our veterans and the work that we do around veterans nationally. So California does come into play. We have quite a few tribes that come from California to our national event. And I'll leave it at that. I don't know if you want me to go with the presentation now or if you have other business.
No, it's all, the floor's yours.
Oh, okay. So let me start out by sharing a screen here. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, great. Okay, so Native American community, our veterans, and they all speak together is the work that we've been doing for the last 3 years. I've been doing this work for about 20. But it's about cross-generational discussions with our elders to our younger generation of vets, which is so important because I think in every aspect of life, we're losing that, grandparent to next generation or second generation away from them. And the conversations, the stories, the languages that need to be shared, the ceremonies. So there's a lot of work to do here. So for urban Indians versus reservation, we don't have any one leader. There are no tribal lands or reservations in Illinois. We're one of the few states that still have that problem. And although changing, tribes have purchased land, it's just not recognized as tribal lands yet. I don't know what's going on in Illinois, but somewhere in the governor's office, they won't allow us to make it reservation land again. Probably because then they have to give up some of their governing rights over the state. But again, no one individual or organization speaks for all people. And we invite you to join our community events programs as they are designed for everyone, especially now we can do a lot of Zoom things. So if you'd like to join in at future times. So the purpose of cultural sensitivity and cultural awareness is to create respect and understanding among all forms of health and wellness. So we're doing a lot of work around alternative medicine. It's really our traditional medicine. They're calling holistic medicine now through the VAs and general practices. But in the past, we've found holistic has taken one path and Western methodology another. Our work is about bringing them together for positive outcomes. Because there's a lot of preventative medicine and wellness, healing, and ceremonies that can be done. But let's face it, if you're having a heart attack, you need a hospital. And that's the bottom line is there's a good mix of what needs to happen and how it should happen. So in general, how can we use the natural resources for our cultural teachings and education? We do a lot of this daily. Using nature, using cultural teaching, getting out in the woods, and using these things. So what's a direct way we can begin to work together? Well, we invite you to reach out to your Native communities and work with them. That, sometimes there's just a standstill of lack of communication, but the people on our tribes want to work with you. They'll be glad to share, and the reverse should happen too, is you sharing what benefits you can bring to them. Especially through this COVID, Native populations have been hit probably the worst as a percentage. So there's a lot of help that the Rotarians can do to help support, but you have to communicate with them and find out what those needs are. I can't just tell you what applies here will apply in California. It just doesn't work that way. So today the process has started, invitations to share thoughts, history, and teachings. So I put that in there because I've been asked in a good way today. So at the end, when we hit Q&A time, those questions that have been burning about our culture and communities that you thought might be disrespectful to ask, now's the time to ask today. Because this is all for good reasons and good thoughts. So I hope to help clear up some of those burning questions. So there's still two governments in this country. Our tribal flags and eagle feather staffs are the first in these lands that are, and we're the original flags. So it's not a competition between the American flag and our tribal flags or eagle feather staff. And actually the California senators all signed a bill 2 years ago, 2019, to get this moving through the Senate and Congress to recognize our eagle feather staff as the first flag of these lands. So just so you know, there's no competition. Our men and women serve under both flags. It's just a historic fact. Our Eagle Feather Staff was used as the flag of this country before it became the United States. So that's sometimes a tricky one, and I've been working with these politicians to understand that. And I think they got it. Most of them anyway. But we're no longer victims, but survivors moving forward. So things that happened a long time ago, you know, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So we know our history and we want to work with people, but there's still historic trauma that affects our veterans, our kids, and our families today. And that's the same for any culture. There's historic trauma that affects each and every one of us. But education and partnerships are the key. The more we can communicate and talk to each other, the better off we all are. This is always an interesting one, which is appropriate, Indian or Native American. So neither is offensive, but the traditional way to address our citizens are by their tribal nations. So American Indian is preferred by some because we're the only people to put Mother Earth first in our self-identification. So, you know, we use American Indian versus Japanese American, African American, Mexican American. Everyone else puts their nationality first, where we believe Mother Earth should come first and put America first. And then Native American is preferred by some, referencing the first people of these lands, although the complications with that is anyone born here could claim to be Native American. So that got a little sticky. But like for myself, American Indian or Native is fine, but I would prefer Ojibwe. I'm Ojibwe from northern Wisconsin. That's where my tribe resides, just as an example. So there's inherent traits. There's creativity, sports. Laughter is a big one. Laughter is healing for everyone, and a reflective nature. One of the problems that our kids get into is they've been taught to listen first, think about what was said to them or commented to them before they respond. But in school, with everything being technology driven and answers right now, so when they do that in class, they get passed on as a non-responsive because they're thinking and processing what to respond. And we have our 4 medicines, which is tobacco, cedar, sage, and sweetgrass. There's a long story for each one, but tobacco is the most important because we give that as gifts when we ask somebody to do something. Because long ago, before money, that's what Native people grew and brought the highest yield of trade. So we honor that tradition moving forward. Ceremonial objects, we have the drum. In California, they use the bird singers quite a bit, so it's a rattle. The pipe, our bundle of medicines, and the offerings that I just came from those four areas. Now, Native vets. We have historically the highest percent of any race per capita to serve in the military. Going back to the Civil War, all the way to today, the average is been 22% of our people. In World War I, World War II, it was as high as 70% of our people went to serve. And you ask, you know, some people will ask why would they serve, and we weren't even considered citizens until World War II started. So why would you serve? And the response is because we protect our lands. We always protect, and whatever the U.S., it's never for political reasons, but to protect our lands. Because if anyone ever came here and we lost the war came to the United States, theoretically, everyone could go back to their own country. If you're from Poland, you could go back to Poland, and, you know, and so on. But Native people are stuck here. So if the states became a destructive area, we're stuck with it. But these are some of the numbers. And Charles Norman Shea, I'm going to show you a brief clip. He's a World War II D-Day veteran. He was on the first wave of boats that landed on D-Day on June 6, 1944, and that's coming up later this week, Sunday actually. So we've got a film that we put out. I'll share with the group, or you can zoom in on Saturday. So what we had groups of people over the last 4 years that went to France to celebrate with Charles, to remember all those that gave their all there. And we made a documentary out of it, and it's winning all kinds of awards right now. So we're having a bit of a reunion for the people that went and to share this film. And then this is our annual National Gathering of American Indian Veterans, where we invite all veterans, but we do some of it in a native way. So I think we have 4 tribes from California sending their honor guards. And it's certainly everyone is welcome. The general public, you can learn a lot, you can have a lot of fun. We do a powwow on each of the evenings. There's some of our sponsors. If anyone has any other sponsored ideas, this is in July. We encourage sponsors to help, because what we do is we feed the veterans all weekend and take care of all their needs for the weekend.
It's wonderful.
Do we have any veterans out here today?
Raymond.
Lauren, thank you for your service.
Terry Kistler
Thank
is
you.
a Navy veteran. I was in the Coast Guard. And Lauren, where did you serve? Oh, you're muted, so you must have been in the Army.
Oh,
Air Force. Close enough.
very good. So thank you all for your service. This is a wall of honor for our Native vets, and then around the corner and in our new gallery, we celebrate all veterans. And we're actually going to be building a display that's not on this presentation, but there was a group of women vets that got together, and they started doing dog tags for Iraq all the way to today, of the women that were killed in service. So there's over 500 of them now.
Wow.
So what we're doing is building a display. It's in the shape of a star that is going to take about 3,000 square feet with all the information. So we're just starting to get that ball rolling. And we have a couple blank spots in that the families weren't ready to give us permission. We always ask permission to use their names to remember them. And there's a couple families that just weren't ready to give up that yet. They're still mourning, so we respect that.
Very nice.
Okay. So our goal at the National Gathering is really about healing, wellness, and we bring a lot of speakers in from DC, from the VA, from the Pentagon, from the Joint Chief of Staff. They're all there for the entire weekend. They don't just run in, do their speech, and leave. They've engaged, and they'll sit and they'll have dinner with the vets, because what our goal is to have them, the policymakers, listen to our vets, so that, and we record a lot of it, so that we can say in 2 years, hey, we've got this recorded that you said you were going to help get this done. What's going on? Not in a negative way, but just to light a little fire in them to remind them. Here's another issue: mascots. So we do this in a discussion. I don't group them all together to say all mascots must go. There's some that are working really hard to try to understand and work with our communities. I personally hear the Chicago Blackhawks is one of the oldest logo. and they're working really hard to change, and they're supporting our events and learning. And this is from the owner all the way down. So we work with them very closely and have for 10 years. But it's around education. And there definitely are some that had to go, Cleveland Indians, Washington Redskins. But actually the Washington Redskins, all we asked was for the name to change in that logo, because the original logo was drawn by a Native veteran many years ago. But because of his arrogance, Dan Snyder, we just said, forget it. We met with them several times, and we never met the owner, Dan. All we met was his bunch of suits that come out as lawyers. So on the other hand, where we met with the Blackhawks, on the second meeting, I met with the owner of the Blackhawks and their top people. I don't even know any of their attorneys. So that's a difference in approach and how they could work. Okay, now I've got a couple short videos here. Here's one. They're all only about 2 minutes long, and then we'll get into some Q&A. Did this transfer well? Okay. So this is a trailer for our D-Day film that we're showing this weekend and our reunion with the France people.
Land on the coast, go straight for Berlin, kill this guy, destroy his armed forces, and dictate the terms of surrender. This is the largest amphibious invasion in the history of the world.
I landed in the first wave in 1944. This was my first day in combat.
The sound seems to be off.
If you'd unmute yourself, Dan, or Joe.
No sound.
Joe, go ahead and unmute yourself.
That's him.
Omaha Beach is a disaster. Pinned down on the beach, riddled with casualties, without equipment, without weapons.
And he's out there fighting a war. He's out there saving lives. Then I think about how it was when I was in. And then I think about the guys nowadays that are over in the Middle East. The experiences are the same, but they're different. The way you went about it is different. And that's what holds it all together.
The soldiers were decorated in the aftermath for these extreme acts of bravery, but we'll never know most of the stories.
I built a fire. I put sage in the fire, tobacco, and I bathed myself in the smoke to cleanse my thoughts and my body of all evil. And I think only on the men that paid the ultimate price, whose souls are perhaps still wandering around the beach. I don't know, but that's what I feel.
So that was Charles Shea. He is still with us today. He turns 96 on the 27th of this month. Typically, we would be in France this week for the D-Day ceremonies, but because of the COVID, it was just too risky. But he's one hell of a man. He went through World War II, and he served in Korea also. He was a POW at the end of World War II, but he never got shot, never was hurt, and he was a medic. So that's like highly improbable for those kind of odds. So he's a good friend of mine now. We talked. He moved to France permanently now, and he said that's where he wants to call his last days in France, so that he'll return to where all the others are buried. Then I have one more here that I'd like to share. This is a fun one. This is the Navajo code talker, Mr. Thomas Begay, who sings the Marine hymn in Navajo, which is pretty rare. So I just thought I'd share that. It's a little over, I think it's close to 2 minutes, but it goes fast. Let's see if I can get the sound right this time.
No ka na ta yela ta chokon ta ti ka o ta ti to ta ka ke ta chokon ta ti pa ta ta ga ni ne kaela ebene ke ta hole Jonathan Tahi Ollie, the United States Marine. Nita Nata Ilayid Kosko Ia. Becheti Nebekea, Adada Sheheshi. Jonathan Tahi Ollie, the United States Marine. Ojo con el tejo, a la copicetitli, ni ketitli ni tate, yeolieni que ate. Se la consuelo, nebe, olo corta desi, nebo whole nation, bisi la consuela, chilico pahoso. Thank you very much. Hooray! Hoorah!
Okay, so that's a pretty rare occurrence, and that happened at the National Gathering. So we have Native heroes from all the way from World War II to currently serving, joining us, which we're very proud of. So moments like that, there's only 4 of them remaining out of 429. So they're leaving us quickly, so to capture moments like that is historic and just a joy for me anyway. So I thought I'd share that.
Thank you.
Can we go to some questions?
Absolutely, we can go ahead and open it up for questions. Anybody, any questions? One question that I have, Joe, is I saw that gentleman had on his hat, it said code talkie.
Code talker.
Parker, yeah. Is that, is that just what they were called? Like, is that for where he was called, or is that his name, or?
No, there was, the Navajo code talkers is what it says on his hat, is a formal military way of identifying them through the Marines. Now, the Navajo were the most popular for whatever reason in World War II. But there was actually 34 other native languages officially used by the military, starting in World War I with the Choctaw.
I
But
think to answer Diva's question, when they were, as an example, in World War II, a code talker would land on an island with the Marines who were invading, and then he would radio back the artillery fire they needed from the ships or what they were doing, but he would do it in Navajo so that the Japanese couldn't understand what he was saying. And so all throughout our military history since World War I, Native people's languages have been used on radio frequencies to confuse our adversaries. And so those are very special men who, many of them were right on the front edge of danger.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for explaining that, because I would have never understood.
that was well explained. Thank you, Raymond.
So Joe, in your big event in July, it's that weekend. If somebody wants to join you, do they need to pre-register, or can they just show up?
Well, you can just show up, but we ask from our website that you register just for food preparations. And COVID is still around in Illinois. It's like almost like non-existent anymore. So we're wide open here. But it's done in a big outdoor field with a circuit-sized tent. So it's rain or shine. But no, you're welcome to just come. The general public is welcome to come. If you could register, we would appreciate that, just for general numbers.
And if you can, is that information, can you put that in the website information on our
your chat?
Yes, in the chat box.
Okay.
Whoever's watching it, they can get on there. Well, I want to thank you, Joe, for joining us today.
Very interesting.
It was it was very interesting. Things that, like you mentioned, things that we probably would have never known, different cultures. So it's really nice that you took the time and spoke to us about that.
I appreciate the opportunity and the invite. That was nice. So, and we enjoy doing this, and we celebrate all cultures here. It's just from a Native platform. Foundation of Native culture. So we're kind of rebooting this country from our own little perspective here, is working with all cultures in a different way, in a good way.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Is that you put that up, Raymond? Thank you. Okay. Well, and just so you know, Joe, we have a donation that we are sending out to you, so that'll be in the mail, sent out to you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you. And I'll go ahead. Anybody else? Any more questions? I'm going to go ahead and move it along to the fast track talk, craft talk. Do we have anybody? No? Okay. Then we'll go ahead and move it to Action 360, and I'll pass it to you for making spirits bright.
Okay, I'm going to jump live. I just want to say thank you to everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and there's tons more information that I could share, but in a limited time, which I appreciate the time that I got, because usually it's much shorter. I'm trying to cram it in. So thank you for the respect of giving me that time.
No,
I'd like to have Joe back, and I'll send you an email. I'd like to have you back later in the year, Joe, because I think that there's some things I'd like to, we'll focus a presentation on American Indian issues. I think that would be interesting for us.
That'd be a loaded one.
We'll keep in contact. We'll put that in later in the year.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a great day.
You too.
Making Spirits Bright. That is moving along. The next committee meeting is June 9th, and we're going to be fundraising. And while we're talking about that, after the meeting, those of you who can stay, particularly Mike and Steve, I have one of the brothers at the Masonic Lodge has donated a $6,800 travel voucher for us to raffle. So it's a $6,800 travel voucher with Avalon Waterways. They do the river cruises in Europe. And so we have to move quickly on this because that voucher will expire in April. And so we've got a limited time. And I've also got Life Pacific University has agreed, their athletic department, to help us sell tickets. So we've got one major seller, and then we've got some other people moving forward. But I'd just like to talk briefly after that. So Making Spirits Bright is looking good, and we have another meeting coming up on June 9th, and I will be able to report back to you more on that date. Moving on to Crossroads. This is the house. This is where, and thank you very much, those of you who showed up that day to look things over. We have been out there twice now, a few hours last Saturday, and there are some brothers from the lodge working there today. We've got a lot of that grass mowed down, but you can see that fence on the right side of the screen. I have sent out a proposal to the people who were involved to look at, which will go out today. We're going to paint that fence. We're going to do that yard up, and we're going to paint that patio cover, power wash those things. And then down right behind where Terry's standing, we're going to extend a brick walkway to take care of a liability hazard. So that's what we're working on with Crossroads, and those straight ahead are the duplexes, and of course over to the left is the Craftsman style home. So that project is also moving along very well. Anniversary meeting is next week. We have 7 dignitaries coming. Either senator may be here, if not his representative for a resolution. The mayor will be here to present a proclamation. We will read the names of the founding members. And then there are about a half a dozen people who've benefited from our work who are here to say thank you. And so our anniversary meeting next week will be kind of cool. And I hope you will be able to be there. And the next thing is June 17th. Something interesting happens on that day. What happens on June 17th, Diva?
I'm getting the boot. I'm getting kicked out. So we're gonna do the kick-out party. I posted 2 different places, and I just chose Sendejas because it is in the city of San Dimas. And I just think it's just a great location for us to be able to gather together. They have an outdoor patio as well. So those that feel comfortable enough to come, we can choose the outside seating. And they have capacity to hold 200 outside and even 200 inside. So it's going to be Thursday on the 17th at 6 o'clock. And then we're also going to be, oh my gosh, I just totally forgot the word, but we're,
come here.
What's the word for Carissa and Lauren? Oh my gosh.
Induction.
Oh, there you go. I'm like, I totally forgot the word. Okay, so we're going to be inducting Carissa and Lauren that day as well. So yeah, just I hope everybody can make it. Those who can't, I totally understand. At least if you come by for a little bit, that'd be great. Also, I am going to do a quick board meeting on Monday of next week. I was going to say tomorrow, but I know it's kind of short notice. So Monday at 6 o'clock, those that can make it. It's just, honestly, it's going to be probably a really short meeting because everything's going to be handled by Raymond from this point forward. No, just, clearing out there. Most important, guys, if you haven't paid your fines, go ahead and do so. What is it, 150 that we all decided for this year?
Yes.
So if you haven't
That's
paid
correct.
it, send Steve the check. I think that's all I have.
Well, we want to circle back to the fine masters. Anybody who wants to use up the last of their $150?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize I skipped that. Anybody have anything to talk about?
I'm going to find Derek because I felt like his introduction was kind of like a fine of saying he's fine. The kids are still in school, but he's getting out. No, but I'm going to find myself $20. Same reason my wife is out of school now. And I know, this weekend is the most calm and relaxed that she has been in at least 9 months. So I'm fine.
I'm going to burn up the last of my fines. Shut up, Derek. Of however much they are. What I want to say is this. We've had a great year, Diva. We really have. This year has been great for our club during the pandemic. More importantly, I want to say thank you to all of us who've hung on and seen our club begin to grow. We have 5 potential members, people who've asked for specific information about Rotary, and I believe that we'll land all 5 of them within the next month or 6 weeks. So whatever the balance of my fine is, I'm wiping it out for myself because I think you guys are fine. Now you can talk, Terry.
Well, I got 2 things, and it'll be the remainder of my balance. 1, you guys are all fine. I agree with Raymond. And 2, most teachers will be fine in a week or 2. So yay, summer break. It's always nice to have vacation time.
That's awesome. Anybody else?
Easy to be fined for my terrible late attendance. I'm back to some old habits. I know. You've loved me. For those of you who've been around a long time, you loved me through it before. You'll love me through it again. It happens. I'm in that season. But, so find me, and I'll pay my bill.
Well, I guess I'll do what Raymond did. I'll wipe out all my fines, and I'll just say I just want to thank everybody. I've never been part of a group that did so much, and different types of people, it just really opened my eyes on how good people can do and do and don't. It just not to judge people. I'm very good about not judging people for who they are, but I've always felt that I was always judged for who I am. And to walk into a group of people, and not only our group, but even going to district assembly, just the welcoming of other people that are very different walks of life than mine or where I came from. It's really nice to see that people, that you can be in the same mind frame and have the same beliefs and morals and not have to look the same. It sounds kind of weird to say that, especially at my age, but it's really not. It just depends on where you come from, where you grew up, and who you hang out with, or who you have around you. And it was a really great experience, and I'm very grateful. So,
are you practicing your kick-out speech? Is that what I just heard?
My kick-out speech is gonna be, Tony, can I get a shot of tequila? I'm out of here.
Before we move off of fines, I want to fine Craig for the balance of his fines, because he has a new patient at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. The patient hasn't been to the dentist in a while, and the patient is very apprehensive. And so Craig is going to treat him very well tomorrow morning. I'm certain of it.
Well, I'm glad I'll be there. I've been sick all week, so
no!
I'm home right now. That's why I'm home. That's why I'm not my phone. And I was on time. I'll be there tomorrow.
Oh no!
I'll be there tomorrow, though.
We're gonna double Craig's fine for telling Raymond that he's been ill when he's about to put his fingers in his mouth.
This was great.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I feel pretty good now, though.
Hey.
I can vouch for Craig that there were many years between dental visits for myself at one point, and Via Verde Dental and Craig, that team is exactly who you want taking care of any issues.
Well, if you're
Thanks,
just
Mike.
wash your hands after rubbing your eyes like that. That's all I ask. Should we move to the calendar, Diva, so we can
Yes.
get out of
Hey, real quick, Raymond, just on the fines, if anybody needs my address to my office, let me know. You can also mail the checks to the P.O. box. If you need that, let me know. We do want to make sure that those checks are in before the 30th of this month, so I can get them in for June and we can reconcile the end of the year. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to
You can send me a balance. That was to Steve. I just need a balance. I don't know how much I owe. I've had past due invoices. Help me out, Steve. Tell me what I owe.
Yeah, I'll do the reconciliation for May on Friday of this week. first time I'll have an opportunity to do that. And then I'll send out aging and all that information that day.
Perfect. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
So if you take a look at the calendar, if you can get people to come and do the Fast Craft Talk, that'd be great, so that we can get more, just get more people to talk about their businesses, and you might be able to get them to want to be a part of the club. So other than that, next, Derek with our 4-way test.
All right. So everyone here, I think, knows, but the 4-way test is an ethical guide to guide how Rotarians, what they think, say, and do. And the 4 points really are: is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? So I did some research, and I was looking at all these stories of how people applied them. Some of them I didn't quite understand. But then I did some research on things being true and fair. And when you look through this ethical code, it makes sense for how having this ethical code would help Rotarians be better for others. We're telling people the truth. We're treating people fairly. We're building goodwill. We're doing things that are beneficial for the world. But what I discovered in doing research, besides, average American tells 11 lies a day, 80% of the people lie far less, but 20% is raising the data. But people who tell the truth and treat people fairly actually have health benefits. There's data that says by living under this ethic, we will have happier, better, and more productive lives. And I think that's kind of a cool thing to know, that the Rotarian ethic not only benefits the world, but benefits us as well. And that's the the 4-way test for today.
Thank you, Derek. I appreciate that. All right, everybody. Well, it's 12:52. I want to thank everybody for coming, and let me know if you can't make it for the 17th. I'm still kind of waiting until the end of this week just to get a head count. So if you know for sure you're not going to make it, then I'll, won't add you in. But I just want to make sure, just so they can get us some seating. If everybody's okay, I'll probably put it outside, just so I know they're open for business inside and outside. But I just want to be, so we can be a little separate from everybody else. So, alrighty. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you on Monday. Board meeting Monday, 6 p.m.